Hey guys, thank you for watching the SlatRock channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you get notified every time we post a new video. Guys, today we present you with 14 WWE storylines we never knew were meant for someone else. Number 14, Batista replacing Randy Orton at WrestleMania 21. Everyone remembers the time Evolution turned on Randy Orton in 2004. Orton was fresh off of a victory against Chris Benoit that earned him the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and Triple H was jealous of his stablemate's success. Things got more heated between the two, and it led to a feud with a face Randy Orton losing the championship to Triple H at Unforgiven. The feud was supposed to continue on until WrestleMania 21, but WWE was disappointed by the lack of fan reaction to Orton, feeling that he failed to flourish as a face. Plans changed once again, with Orton switching back to the dark side and challenging The Undertaker, while Batista would take his place at WrestleMania 21 and defeat Triple H for the title. You could argue that this was for the best, as Batista would become the top face for the company, and Randy Orton would go on to have a memorable feud with the Dead Man. Number 13, Jeff Hardy being attacked by Matt Hardy instead of Christian. Jeff Hardy was featured in a number of high-profile storylines during his rise in the late 2000s. This included being the victim of a number of unfortunate incidents. Jeff was burned by pyro during his entrance, he got into a car accident, and was even attacked in his hotel room. It would later be revealed that a mastermind had been behind everything. The storyline originally called for a returning Christian to have been the one behind everything, leading to him reuniting with long-term tag team partner Edge. The plans were leaked to the internet, and Vince McMahon was reportedly genuinely upset about it. He decided to go against the original plan and replace Christian with Matt Hardy. There was always going to be some interest for a feud between the brothers, but Christian was left out and forced to join WWE CW in one of the most lackluster returns possible. Number 12, Hornswoggle becomes the illegitimate son instead of Mr. Kennedy. One of the biggest storylines in the history of WWE was cancelled in 2007 due to the real-life tragedy of the Benoit murder-suicide. The company was promoting that Vince McMahon had an illegitimate son, which was supposed to be Mr. Kennedy. The plans for the storyline changed and became more comedic than the company originally wanted it to be. Mr. Kennedy's name was crossed out and replaced with Hornswoggle's name, which may not have been the best move for the company to pull. Hornswoggle was a key figure in a number of storylines during the late 2000s, much to the bemusement of fans. He became something of a get-out-of-jail-free card for the company, used whenever they needed to book themselves out of a hole. Mr. Kennedy's bad luck continued as he was released the following year following complaints from John Cena and Randy Orton about him being dangerous to work with. Kennedy moved on to TNA. He would achieve some success as Mr. Anderson, but never reach the heights people expected him to. Number 11, Kurt Angle was supposed to be the first Undisputed Champion. Ask any fan who was the first Undisputed Champion, and they can tell you that it was Chris Jericho. He's been bragging about it for 15 years after all. He loves bringing up the fact that he defeated Stone Cold and The Rock on the same night, something that anyone can and should rightly brag about until the end of time. What's surprising about all of this is that Kurt Angle was originally supposed to be the first ever Undisputed Champion. Vince had one of his classic changes of heart, changing the script a week before Vengeance 2001. Rumors suggest that McMahon felt that Kurt Angle was already established as a top star in the company and that Jericho needed the push more. Fans would no doubt have loved to see either superstar become Undisputed Champion, but there's no denying that Jericho got a lot out of the victory and that Kurt didn't lose much. He would be crowned WWE Champion several times in the years that followed after all. Number 10, Mickie James was supposed to stalk Lita. The storyline between Mickie James and Trish Stratus breathed new life into an ailing women's division. Mickie made a big impact by getting together with the WWE Women's Champion. Things began with James being something of an obsessed fan of Stratus before it became obvious she was attracted to Stratus, flirting with her and even stealing a kiss. The storyline came to an end at WrestleMania 22 when Mickie won the world title from Stratus. What most people don't know is that the storyline originally called for Mickie to stalk Lita and not Trish. Mickie James pitched the idea to WWE with Lita in mind, but Lita was replaced with Stratus once the storyline was approved, and no one is quite sure why. One likely reason is that Lita was involved with Edge at the time, not to mention that Stratus was seen as the face of the division. It made more sense for Trish to be the object of Mickey's affections. Number 9. Jinder Mahal wins the WWE title instead of Rusev. It didn't take long for Jinder Mahal to go from jobber to the stars to star himself. Jinder was crowned WWE Champion and held the title for 6 months before losing it to the phenomenal one AJ Styles. It's been reported that WWE originally planned for Rusev to get the championship, but that he was replaced by Jinder after suffering from an injury. The company was reportedly interested in having Randy Orton feud with a foreign heel, which is why Jinder was slotted in to replace Rusev. While Rusev remains popular with the fans, who continue celebrating Rusev Day even now, Jinder has dropped back down the card. Number 8. WrestleMania 22 plans for SmackDown change. Most of the plans for SmackDown had to be changed following the untimely death of Eddie Guerrero in 2005. He was in a feud with Batista for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at the time, with the next challenger set to be Randy Orton and a title match penciled in for WrestleMania 22. Fans would not see these plans come to pass as Guerrero passed away and Batista was injured, meaning that the title would be vacated. WWE decided to go a different route following the injury of Batista. They had Rey Mysterio win the 2006 Royal Rumble and honor the memory of Eddie Guerrero by feuding with Randy Orton and Kurt Angle, leading to a triple threat match for the title at WrestleMania 22. Fans would get to see Mysterio win the title that night, but it would be a little longer before they got to see a showdown between Randy Orton and Batista. Number 7. Edge takes Mr. Kennedy's storyline as well as his briefcase. Mr. Kennedy is something of a modern-day Marty Jannetty in that it seems that things go wrong as soon as they start going right. Fans felt that Kennedy had finally gotten his big break when he became Mr. Money in the Bank at WrestleMania 23. It didn't take him too long to get injured, though. Kennedy was supposed to have held on to the briefcase and cashed it in on The Undertaker, but he was replaced by Edge, who won the briefcase from him in a match on Raw. Edge would add another world title to his impressive resume, and Mr. Kennedy would be wished the best in his future endeavors. Fans will always wonder how his career might have gone if he wasn't injured at the worst possible time. Almost every superstar that held the Money in the Bank briefcase went on to win the title, which just makes the situation worse for Kennedy, as it was a sure sign that he was pegged to be the next big star. Number 6. Triple H is replaced by Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 23. John Cena faced a number of challengers after winning the WWE Championship, including JBL, Christian, and Chris Jericho. But his toughest opponent would be the time he faced Triple H at WrestleMania 22. Super Cena would win the match and continue his reign over Raw, but he was due to have a rematch with Hunter at the following WrestleMania to even the score. That match would never come to pass as Triple H suffered a serious injury and was left on the shelf for some time. He would be replaced by fellow D-Generation X member Shawn Michaels, who also failed to defeat Cena. Some fans may have anticipated the rematch between Triple H and John Cena, but it would likely have not been as good as the match with Michaels, which has gone on to be regarded as a classic by fans. Number 5. Ric Flair faces Eddie Guerrero instead of Steve Austin. WWE rehired Eddie Guerrero in 2002 after he spent some time away from the company, and he was putting on clinics with a number of superstars. Stone Cold Steve Austin was frustrated at how he was booked at the time and requested the chance to work with new faces, including Guerrero and Chris Benoit. Austin was a major fan of their work, and WWE let him have what he wanted by starting a feud with him and Guerrero. The feud was short-lived, even though it had some segments, including the classic segment where Austin and Guerrero sing karaoke together at a bar. This ended with Guerrero attacking Austin, but the feud had to come to an end because Austin took his ball and went home after being told he was going to lose to Brock Lesnar on Raw with no build-up. Ric Flair replaced Austin in the storyline, and Flair and Guerrero went at it at 2002's King of the Ring. Number 4. Mick Foley is replaced with Shane McMahon for a feud with Vince. WrestleMania 17 is regarded by many to be the greatest WrestleMania of all time. There were several classic matches at the event, including the street fight between Vince McMahon and son Shane, which had a massive build-up leading into it. The storyline itself revolved around a number of superstars, including Mick Foley, who was working as the commissioner and was scheduled to be Vince's original opponent. It's rumored that Foley declined to participate in the match because he felt he wasn't in ring shape, especially for a match that would need him to be at his best. Foley remained a key figure in the storyline, but was replaced in the main role by Shane McMahon, who would go on to get revenge on his father at WrestleMania. There have been a number of angles involving the McMahon family, perhaps too many, but this remains a memorable feud that fans enjoyed. Number 3. John Cena is replaced by Ryback. Ryback was handed the chance of a lifetime when John Cena was injured in 2012. WWE was preparing to have Big Match John go against CM Punk for the WWE title at the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view event, but the injury forced the company to replace Cena with Ryback. Fans were left disappointed to be missing out on Punk vs. Cena, a feud that had been a big deal the year before. But Ryback was at least over with the fans thanks to his winning streak gimmick. That gimmick would come to an end in the match as CM Punk retained the title, but Ryback has said in interviews he felt he should have won that night. Skip ahead to 2018 and both men have since left the company following their own disputes with the WWE, and Cena has become the very thing he hated The Rock for being, a part-timer making a transition to Hollywood. Speaking of The Rock, number 2, The Rock replaces Steve Austin in a dream match against Hulk Hogan. WrestleMania 18 isn't as well remembered as WrestleMania 17, but one match does stand out: the dream match between The Rock and Hulk Hogan. The match was hardly a technical masterpiece, but it did have one of the loudest fan reactions ever. The match was highly anticipated and it didn't disappoint. Not that it would have been possible with how amped the fans were. The WWE originally had plans for an even bigger match, perhaps the biggest match ever: Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin. The match was apparently being discussed even though Austin wasn't interested in working with the Hulkster, a disinterest that only grew as they were unable to decide on the finish. Rumors suggest that both men refused to lose the match, but that Hogan was willing to let The Rock get the pin on him. With the tension rising between the two stars, the original plan fell through and WWE decided to use The Rock instead of Austin. It's certainly a shame the fans never got to see the two most important WWE superstars go at it, especially when the opportunity was right there. Number 1. A last-minute change for Vengeance 2007. They say plans can change at the last minute in WWE, and nowhere is that more evident than Vengeance Night of Champions from 2007. The ECW Championship, which was vacated at the time, was on the line in a match between CM Punk and Chris Benoit. When Benoit didn't show up and didn't return any calls, WWE made a quick and sudden change and replaced him with John Morrison. Benoit had been scheduled to win, and so it was a golden ticket for Morrison, who went on to become the face of ECW. He would enter a feud with Punk, which was originally scheduled for Benoit. Of course, we know today why Benoit never showed up that night. It was the next day when WWE learned that Benoit was dead and held a tribute show in his memory when the events surrounding his death were unknown. It quickly became apparent what happened in the Benoit home that night, and WWE has never mentioned him since. Well guys, that's our video. Can you think of any other WWE superstars that have been replaced in a storyline? If you can, let us know in the comments down below. Check out our other high-rated videos by clicking at the upper right-hand corner or down in the description field. Also, if you like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to get more videos just like this one, hit that bell icon to get notified every time we post a new video. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, and as always, thanks for watching.